Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Today we're talking about Daddy's Home 2, another sequel to a film about coexisting families that takes place at Christmas. Again, for some reason, just like Bad Moms Christmas. So Daddy's Home 2 basically kind of picks up where the last one left off, with Mark Wahlberg's character and Will Ferrell's character kind of being co-dads now. And at first everything seems fine, and then Mark Wahlberg's dad shows up, played by Mel Gibson, and he keeps poking and prodding that there might still be a little bit of resentment on both sides, and he's trying to cause them to have a fight right before Christmas. And they keep trying to avoid it, but every time something happens and it gets worse and worse and worse, until finally they just have it out with each other. But then they realize that even though they have these issues, they still do what's best for each other because of the kids. And overall, Mark Wahlberg's character kind of learns to be a better dad through the whole thing. There's also the dynamic of Will Ferrell's dad, and how Will Ferrell's relationship with his dad differs from Mark Wahlberg's character's relationship with his dad, and how those relationships relate to the relationship Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell have with their kids. And it's basically just them trying to live up to their father's expectation and giving the kid advice based on how they were raised and how their father would approve or disapprove, and whether or not it's the right advice to be given to the child or not. There is also a secondary plot line where Mark Wahlberg's new stepdaughter from his new wife doesn't like him and resents him, and I don't really remember that from the last movie. I kind of remember that she sort of liked him, but then there was the little bit of tension when her dad showed up at the end that Mark Wahlberg now had to go through what Will Ferrell's character had to go through with him. But she still liked him, but now in this one she basically ignores him, and anytime he asks her to do something, she's like, "You're not my real dad," and just kind of does whatever she wants. And at one point they do bring in her real dad, played by John Cena, and there's a little bit of tension there. So now again Mark Wahlberg is kind of getting the same treatment that he's given to Will Ferrell's character via the other girl's father, played by John Cena. And yeah, just overall the story is kind of the next logical evolution of what would happen in a story like this. It works out a lot better in this than I think it did in Bad Moms Christmas, where that one was just kind of a lot of the same cues as the first one, but a lot of the magic was stripped away. This one doesn't capture the same magic, but it captures a different type of magic and still kind of makes it funny. But at the same time, a lot of the plot points and things are a little redundant, so it's not without its flaws, but between those two, it was the better of the two films, I think. How does it compare to the first Daddy's Home? Obviously, the first Daddy's Home is always going to be better, just because you're introducing that family dynamic, and then, there's kind of the payback at the end, where this one's okay, the family dynamic's established, what's the next logical step? Oh, there's still some resentment, and we need to work that out, even though we're basically acting like we're best friends now. Are we really best friends, or is it all an act just for the kids? Which, even if it is an act for the kids, it's worth doing for the kids, is what it comes down to. So basically the whole movie revolves around the daughter does a presentation at school about what she loves about Christmas, and she basically says she doesn't like Christmas as much anymore because there's basically two family functions they have to do now. Family Christmas with her mom and then family Christmas with her dad, and she just kind of wishes they could all be one family again. So of course they're like, hey, why don't we do a family Christmas this year? You and your wife and stepdaughter come over and have Christmas with our family at our house. And Mark Wahlberg's like, well, our house is a little bit bigger, why don't we do it over there? And he's like, well, how about we'll do Christmas morning at your house for opening up the presents and everything, and then we'll come back to our place for Christmas dinner, vice versa, whichever way it went. So they're kind of trying to split it between the two houses still, but go between the two houses as one big family. And then Mark Wahlberg's dad, Mel Gibson, is basically like, hey, why don't we just rent a place, go to a cabin or something and have a family Christmas there? And wow, where are we going to book something on short notice? And because he's a pilot and kind of has connections, he's able to rent something on short notice. And they go there, and that's when everything kind of crumbles, because had they just did the one big family Christmas at one or the other's house and still could have had that space away from each other for the next couple days, they probably would have been fine, but now they're all basically living under one roof together for a week. And, of course, tensions are going to build, and you don't have that, okay, I can go away and be back in my own place and kind of vent it out and then come back and have on my buddy face again. So because they're all under one roof for a couple days, it kind of forces all these resentments to come out, and it just kind of plays out from there. But, again, it is a family movie, so you do have the happy ending where, like I said, they agree that it's best for the kids that they get along, regardless of whether they resent each other or not. And overall, it comes down to they don't really resent each other that much because they both realize they're good fathers and they both care about the kids equally. But there is some resentment over who does something versus the other. In one of the opening scenes, it was the boy's birthday, and his dad gave him an iPhone. He opens up, he goes, oh, Will Ferrell's character already got me one, and then it cuts back over to them having the birthday party at his house earlier in the day, and him basically getting the exact same thing. So, again, there's back and forth resentments on both parts about outdoing each other, and it naturally would have to come to a head, and at the end they realize, why don't we just stop trying to outdo each other, let's communicate more, that way we don't run into those issues, and let's try and be more of a joint family, even though we're separate. So, overall, not a bad movie, just doesn't quite capture all the magic of the first one, but it does a lot better job than Bad Moms Christmas did of capturing the magic of the first Bad Moms. So, what would I give Daddy's Home 2 as far as a star rating? I'd probably say a 3.5 on this one. Basically, like I said, middle-of-the-road movie, nothing much to it, but it is a natural progressor and it does touch on a lot of things that you would expect a sequel of this type of film to touch on. As far as the comedy aspect, there were some funny bits in it. I think Bad Moms Christmas had a few more funny moments than what this one did, but overall, just the way this story carried worked out a lot better for me than Bad Moms Christmas did. So this one will get a 3.5 from me. So that's it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down in the description. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, I'll see you after the credits.